So good morning. We are here in the Miraflor Nature Reserve in Esteli, Nicaragua. So northwestern, but more central Nicaragua. And we are at approximately 1,500 meters above sea level. And what you're seeing is a group of individuals who are part of the restoration that we have to plant native trees in this area where there's a working agricultural farm. And if you can, quite magical. You can see the clouds are moving in the background. I'm just going to pan around again to give you a sense of where we are. We are so close to Honduras. The mountains, the furthest mountains you can see in this image are Honduras. And so we've got some cows and some sheep who have joined us this morning, but let's go back to focus on the restoration of the native trees. I'm joining you with a team of individuals who work here at the farm. Sorry, the lighting is a little dark here. Let me try to move without slipping. And we are going to work through an example of how we are doing the reforestation. I'll hand the floor over to Martine to give you some background and to do the demonstration of the reforestation effort. Martine?
Good morning, Joe. Can you hear me? Good morning, Joe. Good to be here with you guys. We're here with the team. This is William, Barralito, Julio, and Gerardo. So we are reforesting this area. So you can see, if you pan a little bit to the right, Pamela, this area lost some trees due to wind and climate change and rain. So this one we're gonna get started. Hope you can hear me. So we're gonna start planting this native tree, the cedar tree over here. We are planting it in a working farm, so we're gonna demonstrate how we're doing it. We have to protect the trees due to we have a working farm. We have cattle, sheep, horses. So we're gonna get started. Vamos a sembrar entonces. We're marking them. We have already reforested near the 200. This little batch that we're doing now, after we do the next 6, is gonna reach the 200 trees. And we'll walk you farther into the mountain to show you the ones that we already have done. Hope you guys can hear me. So we make the hole. This beautiful earth you can see, a lot of nutrients. And then we put a little bit of coal. This is like here to see if any little insects are in there. Then we put a little dirt in it. Vamos a hacer lo que está allá. These guys have magic hands.
No, está bien. So the lime helps to, it's an acidic soil, so that helps to make a pH balance for those scientists in the room. It balances it out, the pH of the soil. And then because the working farm, I'm going to slowly pan over back. We have the cows and the sheep that graze in this particular area. And so in order to have integration with the working farm and the reforestation, we need to protect the plants so they don't get nibbled on until they get large enough. We can take the screening, the protective screening off. So this area here actually had coffee planted in it, and about 25 years ago, it was one of the best tasting coffees, voted best tasting coffees in the region. You can see there's been a great loss of trees in this area. The coffee trees were removed, but there was natural vegetation such as this tree. Let me try to show you. The Miraflor Nature Reserve has over 200 types of orchids, and if you can see on the tree, there's lots of bromeliads. I'm going to bring you down, hopefully without getting you sick, but we've got bromeliads that have fallen off the trees with all of the recent rains, and the wind. It was very windy today, but lots of orchids. And here are some of the coffee trees, just to show you how small they are. And they will be planted alongside some of the reforested trees in the area. But our focus today, those 200 trees for the Darwin 200 project.
So we'll do the next one. We're gonna walk a little that way, towards the side of the mountain, and go do the next one. Oh, mira que está allá, William. We're gonna do that one over there.
If you can see in the background, there is a coffee processing plant, and there's some plantains and bananas. And so this area, again, as a working farm, there is open area for pasture for the cows, but the reforestation is occurring in areas where we've lost several trees, in addition to some of the areas. You can see this is, no, I wouldn't say it's virgin, but it's more heavily populated with the trees that has been left to nature and natural areas. It's been designated. So this is approximately 80 acres. And so 20 acres are for cow, and 20 acres are focused on coffee. And then the other remaining acres are focused more on the reforestation and keeping the natural areas the way that they were approximately 20 years ago.
Yeah, so you can see we have some fallen trees here. So we are replacing the ones that have fallen to keep the same natural lines. So this guy, died. You can see all the bromeliads in this tree, like Pamela was saying. See down further. I don't know if they can see, Pamela. We reforest that side of that hill over there. You can see all the blue tape with the screen. That's what we planted. It includes the 200. And the further we walk, there's more. I know we don't have a lot of time, but with this one, that is number 195. So we got 5 more to go to reach the 200.
So we'll get those 200 trees in the ground today in celebration of this event. And also the team here has been planting coffee trees, and
Yes.
they've planted 2,000 coffee trees. So reforestation with the natural native trees, in addition to maintaining the working coffee farm. They've been really busy. Yeah, you can see the tree there.
Yep. And the coffee trees have been planted under the understory of the forest. We can, if we have time, we can ride down there and show you. So, yep, we are reforesting the forest, the mountainsides that have been damaged by wind and rain. And these trees are some are very old too. They've been around for many, many years. I'm not sure. We've been coming here for 20 years, so they're quite old, some of them. We're just helping Mother Nature replanting more trees so it can go back what it used to be. And thanks for the opportunity. Here we go.
All right, Pamela, any
Right,
chance
one
you
more
guys
to
can
go.
hear us?
You want to do one more on the show? Let's do one more on the show. Vamos a aquel ahora, ya está. Vamos, vamos, vamos. Vamos al otro. Be careful walking through here. It's a little slippery. And this is what happens, guys. You see this tree here? You know, the rain and the erosion of the soil. The rain and the erosion of the soil. This is a good example of what happens, Joe. With time, it's a very older tree. Like I said, with the erosion and the rainfall and wind, this is what happens. You see the roots are coming up, and at one point it's going to fall. So we're so happy that we are reforesting here. Next one.
So we've got some sunshine today, which is a gift. And I saw there was a question about the cloud forest. The scientific terminology, I don't know the answer to what defines a cloud forest, but it is an area that is usually, there's clouds every day, and we get a couple of hours of sunshine. So we're lucky. We've got some sunshine this morning, but you can see in the background, the clouds will move in. So apologies, I don't have a direct answer for that. You've given me some homework that I will definitely look at for the future. So I'm looking in the chat to see if there's any questions. I know we've had issues with the audio. Ask Carlos how long it'll take for that tree to reach maturity. So these are cedar trees. Again, they were selected because this area has more sunlight. 4 years to reach maturity. And one of the things about these trees is it's the local community working with the Ministry of Forestry here in Nicaragua. They've tried to really encourage any farm owners to reforest areas that were cleared for cattle and to do exactly what we're doing here today, to work integrated and try to have some harmony between a working farm, recognizing that you want to have economic drivers in the region, but also that you're able to reforest and have a nicer balance between the natural landscape and things like working farms, coffee or cattle or whatever it may be. So the local community has started a program where they there's usually one individual who is identified, and they can help connect individuals, farm owners or land managers to obtain the native species of trees and plant those. So we're doing the 200 today. We have 300 more that we're going to identify other areas where we can plant. And then I think there's a total of 8,000 coffee trees total that would be planted this year.
196.
Yep, so this is 196 trees planted. We're going to finish these up today. I know we may not have the full amount of time to show you all of those, but there's actually 2 trees being planted, so we're getting closer. Yes, so the reason why the trees were selected, there were 5 different species of trees that were provided through the local community, and the ones here are trees that match more with the type of habitat here. So because there's been a loss of tree coverage, like the canopy coverage, these trees can handle the sunlight, in addition to, as Martine showed you, the root system, the wind, the weather that is aiding these trees in falling down. There's been somewhat of an anomaly occurring in this area recently, which is the purpose of the reforestation program. But with those changes, we're looking at which trees, always plant the right tree in the right place, so the right amount of sunlight, and also the topography and the soil conditions. So we try to match up the tree species with the right location. You can see this farm as I'm panning over to the right, it's got some flat areas, but if I pan further over to the right, we've got, I don't know, I would ask some of those math classes. If we have math classes, that looks like it's more than a 45-degree angle in some areas. But when you get rain, as we've had this time of year, it is just very, very mucky, muddy, and with the winds blowing through this area, we lose quite a few trees. Thank you so much for having us, Joe. Thanks to the Darwin program, and congratulations on just an amazing program.
Bye, Joe.
There's tree 200, I believe we've got going in. There you go.
While we were in Rio, we spent some time reforesting the Atlantic rainforest. It's a spot that Charles Darwin thoroughly enjoyed visiting. He writes about it a lot in his journals from the trip. But since then, those areas have been badly degraded. Over 80% of the Atlantic rainforest has been lost. What's left is very fragmented and not connected, which isn't great for animals to be able to move from one patch to another. So what we did while we were there is we planted trees, and we connected a corridor between 2 reserve patches so that animals would be able to move more easily. So here to tell us about it, we have expedition leader Stewart McPherson. I'm going to bring him in right now. Hey, Stewart, how are you?
Hello, Joe. It's lovely to speak to you. How are you?
Good, good. It's great to be speaking with you. We have, I'm back in Canada. You're still in Rio. Still lots of work to be done.
Yes.
But it's great to be able to join you and to have you tell us a little bit about the planting.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it was a really exciting week. As you mentioned, the objective was to plant a corridor of trees between 2 sections of this beautiful Atlantic rainforest. This is really, really important. The problem with a lot of areas around the world is that when fragments of forest get isolated, the animals in those fragments can get really really separated from the rest of their kind, the rest of their species. This can cause certain populations to come inbred and eventually die out. So it was a really, really successful and important project that we did. It was connecting an existing reserve already owned by the Association of the Golden Lion Tamarin to a new section of forest that they'd recently acquired. So our mission during the 6 days that we were there was to plant up to 2,500 trees to make like a bridge, like a corridor, a long, thin section joining up these two reserves. As the trees then grow up, the idea is that the animals, particularly the tamarins, can then climb and go through them. And as if to prove the point, just before we arrived there, a couple of days beforehand, the team found a sloth abandoned on the ground halfway between the two patches of forest. This poor little sloth had been trying to get between the sections of forest. So it really proved the point and why this corridor was so needed. So that's what we did. I think we've got a drone clip now showing the planting process as we were digging and planting all those trees. Maybe you could show that one next. Here we go. You can see all those little spots. Each one of those is a new tree that we dug a hole and planted into the ground. And as the drone shot pulls out, you'll be able to see this long, thin strip of land that we're trying to reforest that connects from the existing reserve to the new one. The existing reserve is the one on the left. It's a really big patch of forest, and the newly acquired land is on the right. So yeah, that's what we're undertaking, and that's what we're really, really busy doing. We had literally hundreds and hundreds of school children take part during the week. Some days up to 70 kids each morning, and each student planted 1, 2, 3, or even 4 or even 5 trees sometimes. It's pretty hard work, so they did amazingly well. And each night we did a little update video showing our progress, and little by little through the week, yeah, we got the 2,500 trees in the ground and planted. It's really amazing to see how fast the landscape can change. I think you'll see this in the next clip. Within just a few years, the landscape, it completely alters as a result of those trees being planted. Years ago, that hill in front, all of that looked like that. It was agricultural pastures with cows on. The Association of the Golden Lion Tamarin team planted trees up there since 2019, 4 years ago, and look how it's regrown. This is their newly acquired property all down here, and this is what's going to be planted next. So it's amazing to think that you can rebuild these forests and you can put the trees back and rebuild those ancient ecosystems. Incredible how fast from that pastures to that. Gives hope for the future. Yeah, I mean, it really is incredible. That area was planted in 2019. It's 2023, obviously, now. So it's astounding how fast it can grow. You often hear about conservation being a bit doom and gloom, but this example of the replanting of the Atlantic rainforest just shows that, you know, it's not doom and gloom. Forests can be replanted, trees can be put back into the ground, and these ecosystems can be redeveloped. And on that note, I think our next clip shows some of our team doing exactly that. And we had a surprise along the way. Oh, you're planting?
Yeah, in a few years we're gonna have a beautiful tree here, I guess.
Absolutely. Just think you might have Golden Lion Tamarins on your tree. Yeah. Oh, I got a dog on our tree right now, haven't we, little guy? I'm sorry, the trees aren't for you, little guy. Hang on. Oh. See, the wildlife corridor is already working. Well done, Timo. Keep up the effort. Yeah, so we weren't really expecting a dog there, but yeah, it just goes to show he loved the trees as well. So even though they're little seedlings at the moment, in just 2 or 3 years, they'll start to fill out that area, that corridor, and we're going to come back in a few years and see how those trees are doing. So it's a serious point. In a few years, that the Golden Lion Tamarins may well be using the very trees that we planted and using to cross into the new reserve. So it was a wonderful, wonderful week doing this, and just a massive thank you once again to the Association of the Golden Lion Tamarin, all of the volunteers that took place, especially from the local community, all of the school children. We had our Darwin 200 team our Darwin leaders, and your good self as well, Joe, planting, and all of our friends that joined us for the week that we're in Rio de Janeiro, and of course the crew of our ship, the Oosterschelde, as well. So a massive thank you to everyone that took part, and anyone out there that's watching, please volunteer for similar projects. Planting trees like this is so important. So we've all got to do our part and help rebuild some forests around the world.